And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Whiskerwood. We're going to try to get a couple more buildings here, and then probably call it good for this run. We're researching Machinist, so we're going to see what the catalyst is for Machinist, and I'm going to try to pick up Steam Engine, which provides the speed or production bonuses to adjacent buildings, and see how this works. And then we're probably going to call it good. There's a couple other techs in here, but right now we don't... Well, we know what we would use precision scales for. We're not using those buildings. We could use those buildings if you needed your own production of soap or your own production of medical supplies. You'd use that. Steel plates, we don't know what that's used for. We could research that, but we don't know what that's for. That might be the Machinist, that might be the steam engine, that might be for the boats that haven't been added to the game. And a lot of the other stuff is stuff I'm not super interested in, or like the cannery are related to the boats that aren't in the game. So I think we're just going to do one long part here to get access to those pieces of equipment, and then probably call it, both for the night and for this run here on Whiskerwood, at least until more content gets added to the game. But that means we need to get through 1 1/4 techs, which may take a while. Supply ship. I'm actually going to splurge. We're going to go with this one. We're getting more than 3 times, almost 4 times the clothing. Usually go for the middle one. Early game, you go for the early one, for the first one, because you don't need some of the stuff you're getting in the middle one. But specifically, I don't think I've built enough clothing production, so we are interested in the clothing. If you built more clothing production earlier, you probably would, might actually just be skipping them at this point. It's their opinion of you, but as long as you're getting shipments frequently enough, that's fine. Yeah, I think you get like a supply ship or 2 for every task collector during the spring and summer. So you could probably just turn them down if you wanted to, just overpay on your taxes to get the approval pack. Waiting for the researchers to complete the Machinist. They got 45 more sort of recipes to do. 89 seconds each. We're running at, I think it's 4x speed. Might only be 3x speed. That doesn't tell me what the speed differences are between the speed settings. You can see what the time's going, and you can probably do the math to figure out if that's... if you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably do the math and figure out what the speed acceleration is. I don't have a good second counter to check it myself. But we're on some sort of speed acceleration here, running at max speed. Okay, most of the Whiskers have gone to sleep. Some of them didn't quite get there. Although enough of them getting their nightly errands done that we're getting max approval. And of course, the max approval goes up the more Whiskers you have, so. I could technically be running a much larger city. mining camp needs a... or, no, this is the woodcutter needs a adjustment. You know, it might actually be worth getting a gather out here. Go to the forge hut. There we go. And we can sign some people to gather the berries and the flax. There goes our farms. 8%, 6%, so we're almost at the point where we're gonna have all the mushrooms we ever want. 33%. Yeah, all our mushrooms are still coming from one field, coming from the OG field. We'll be, at this rate, we'll be absolutely drowning in mushrooms, I think, the moment we get the other fields going. I'm absolutely drowning in farmed goods at this point, so... Actually, I need one of you over here to do the mining, but I will need to do over here. Go deeper. And I think one thing I could do, and one thing I might strive to be more aggressive doing in the future, is trying to cut down on long pathing. I think that's being more proactive with storage. Or at least specific storage. Forcing things to go where they need to go and not just go anywhere. Because I think that's what all the long pathing is. People just run across the entire island. Well, islands. Run across the entire islands. One island's not that bad. Multiple islands gets pretty bad. Here's the smuggler. No, I think that's about where we want to be. And actually take some of the cloaks. Nope, that's where we want to be. 13. In theory, the smuggler's got a lot more bars here today for whatever reason to take off of us, but that's what we're taking. We sell the trinkets. we've got 4 levels of approval here. Right, so if you're constantly going up to at least the plus tier, you get 2 approvals, so you could probably turn the supplier down every time during spring and summer, and just go up to this tier to get your approval back. We tend to go up to that tier anyway. So if they're trying to sell you or trying to give you stuff you don't want, at least during the summer and spring you can get away with saying no. Use it or lose it when it comes to gold bars, I suppose. Now, what's my smelting ratio on? It's 1 iron ore to 5 bars, okay. But it's slow, we don't want. 1 heavy eater. Reroll here? Encore Rebellious. Sure. That's nice. That's nice. I think that's good. Pick 2. That didn't go where I planned it to go. That's where I wanted it. So that'll provide the 2 housing we want for our new people. I'd take the soap, but I want another higher tier good. Need machinery? We don't. Fertilizer. Again, we don't really need the machinery, at least not with what we've got. Okay, this won't work. We'll do soap and ration meals. Supply ship, as you can say, if you refuse it and thus not have the tax bill, the whiskers or the cats don't like that because then they can't charge you for it. But during the spring and summer, you could probably get away with a refused supplies if you're trying to min-max. I'm not, so I'm gonna take the supplies. Almost done with machinist. There we go. Genius, which is machinery for industrial independence. Although we're getting enough from dependence right now, I wouldn't be that worried about it. At least until they give us independence as an option. So we're gonna research steam engine next. And then we're gonna build the machinist. That is a interesting shape. Okay, we'll get this built. We'll see what it needs. As a catalyst. May not even have a catalyst. Woodcutter here needs some adjusting. Oops. There we go for that. Staircase. We'll want another one up there. And yeah, if we were going to keep the save going, I think the next thing to do after we finish deforesting this island is probably turn it into a giant tree farm, because this is where we're doing all of the lumber harvesting as of recently. Replace a lot of the staircases with like elevators and stuff. Let's make it like a giant industrial tree farm or something. I suppose we can take a look and see what the fertility of this island is. So, pretty decent for berries. We could grow berries basically anywhere on it. Same sort of thing, flax. I think it's even better than flax for berries. Trees. As I said, we could turn it into a giant industrial tree farm. It's got workable areas for wheat. Pretty good for cotton. Mushrooms inside the mountain, so we're not even going to check that. And then peppers and tea leaves are kind of bad everywhere. You gotta fertilize them. Almost there. 4%, 2%. We may just play long enough for these mushroom fields to come online, and then we'll be, like, rolling in the mushrooms. Getting max approval. Nice. And I suppose we were rolling in mushrooms, so we could swap over to running heavy soup kitchens. And then doing mushroom flour into stew, and then do stew plus smoked fish as well. No, let's actually swap these back to this one's telling us current recipe. Whisker ship. I'm not liking the farmer guild on this one. We want safe workers, not unsafe ones. There we go, 2 usable farmers. And I suppose we should go around the farms, make sure they're all running farming guild. Here's one that isn't. Nope. Here's one that wasn't. I think that's all of them at this point. Then we can upgrade soup kitchen. I don't think I have a craft master farmer. Oh, no, I'm wrong. I in fact have one. There we go. Super kitchen going to be working at full speed. Sans the pots. Addle camp. Okay, mine tool. I'm gonna mine those tiles out. Those tiles out. Those tiles out. Oh, the woodcutter needs adjustment again. Or that woodcutter needs adjustment. We've got 3 woodcutters up here. Progressively less and less wood. If I needed wood, this would be a problem. We don't. We have a tree farm, so we're never going to run out of wood. We might have a wood deficit situation pretty easily, but we're not going to run out. Plus, we got trees over here. Move her to this island next. And we got plenty of building space. Although some of it's real far away. We got an island here, an island there, an island everywhere. And as you can see, nothing's really good for peppers and tea leaves. Pepper's actually a little bit more naturally fertile than tea leaves. Mushrooms obviously only grow underground. Cotton grows pretty everywhere. Wheat's got some problems, although there's decent places to grow it. Trees are pretty everywhere. Flax is pretty everywhere. Berries are pretty everywhere. Oh, apparently I can see the pollution on here. That's not really helping with the pollution. Oh, we can see how bad the rockiness is. I suppose with the pollution, it is showing us where the pollution's bad. Just this season, it's not unless it's out of water. I think this is the pollution effect on the crop fertility as well. Okay, let's put this away. Okay, the machinist is done, and it uses precision scales as well. So, for the moment, we haven't found anything that actually uses the... we'll go into research to show you. We haven't found anything that uses steel plates. Maybe the steam engine does. I suspect this is related to the boats that haven't been added. Presumably, if you want, like, ironclad boats to deal with the claw, you'll be wanting steel plates. Yeah, we don't need... We got 286 machinery. Right. We are ready to build machinery for a problem we don't have. Okay, so the holes are filled in. So honestly, we'll just tell that earthworker to stop working. It's gonna be a while before we have new holes to fill in. And we got all this area down here to farm. So if I want mushrooms, all I'm missing is the farmers. And I can have mushrooms. And this mushroom field is going. It has 3 mushrooms in it. That one's got a little bit to go. 3% to go. Yeah, we're soon gonna have all the mushrooms we could ever want. And then that will probably solve the problem with high cuisine, which is... Well, actually, that's not the problem with high cuisine, because otherwise we'd have no skewers. We probably just need more plain kitchens, really, to make enough party meals. And this is maybe something I didn't realize earlier. So 3 fish to 5 smoked fish. So smoke of the fish isn't super resource efficient. Fish to mushrooms to fish skewers. Okay, it's 3 to 5. Bread, which is the same tier. Can I find one of the bakeries in here? There we go. It's 2 flour to 5 bread. So bread's pretty efficient, although you're still only getting 5 out of a building. But once you start mixing like skewers and bread into hearty meals, so you're already looking like, oh, it's 2 or 3 to 5. Now it's 2 plus spices, so okay, it's 3. 5. So it takes 2 food that your people would eat, makes it into 5 food that your people would eat. On top of it already being a 3 or 2 to 5. So you get some pretty heavy multiplication here. You don't need a lot of the lower level stuff once you get into the higher level stuff. Because the higher level stuff's just so efficient. Which is part of the reason I'm probably overproducing fish, for example. It's because now that we're mostly trying to push the smoked or the skewers or the upper tier food on them, that just... they don't need as much fish. So I think we're going to play until we can get a steam engine built. And then we'll probably call it for the stream and the run. Although one thing I'm going to do in the background here is I'm recognizing the storage on the drive is getting a little low. So I'm going to go do some emergency spring cleaning here, so we've got some space. Oh, I see what I screwed up. Last time I did spring cleaning, I forgot to delete the files I moved. So I've got a bunch of stuff that's already been deleted that has not been deleted. That makes sense. So here's the tax collector. Let's pay that before the tax collector gets annoyed that we're ignoring him. And a little bit of the flax. Bunch of the cotton. And we'll... Actually, I've got so much iron ore. We'll push some iron ore out the door. Free up some of our storage. Okay, middle option. Here is the gift supplies. I think we'll do a couple of rerolls here. Fertilizer and medicine, that's good. Okay, that should fix the disk space available. Doing a little bit of multitasking here while we're letting the city advance. I don't have to stop the recording in the middle. Okay, so we need to go find some mining. These guys to mine. There's some coal. There's some more coal. Yeah, they might be reaching the point as well where it's time to move the miner in to the hill. If you're wondering what I was doing there with the cutting, was to make a way up and down. That's fairly quick for the whiskers. Okay, so if I've done that right, should be mining up underneath that pipe, and then we can bring that pipe down so we can run heating on the lower floors. We'll see if that works, right? Yeah, nice, cozy city builder at this point. No real concerns about any game overs potentially happening at this point. We're just going to wait out the steam engine here, enjoy the nice city. We can see the pollution plume coming off the sifting towers here. This may be an argument we should move them someplace else. To minimize that pollution. And yeah, I think the rail cart here is definitely helping keep the transit back and forth a little bit faster. Day 259. Basically got max approval on that day. And you can see the original island here we've gone and completely deforested, and then mostly transformed into massive cotton plantations. Which is how we were dealing with the earlier forms of meeting the taxes. Okay. I could push a little bit more fertilizer off. We are still in spring, so let's do that. Get 12 bars that way. Oh, actually, we're in summer. Still probably fine. We probably want to stop before the end of summer. We just throw machinery at these guys. And some oil. If I cared about our machinery more, we'd probably ship more oil at them. But... Or you could entirely build in the ground, right? Them and the claw, when they don't like you, shoot cannonballs at you. So if you've relocated the entire country underground, then the cannonballs don't do anything. We haven't gone that tax avoidance level yet. Now we're gonna do a reroll here. Educated, rebellious, swift. Those are both good. Yeah, keep it simple. Stick with 2. I'll actually go ahead and get a 3rd fine kitchen. I think we'll try. Food processing, fine kitchen. Get the Swift one trained to be a craftmaster. Nope. It's not quite out of trees. It's got exactly 1 tree left up there. It's not going to be much longer. Be no trees left on this island. Yeah, obviously we need to move some of these guys. Okay. Yeah, we're basically just hanging around until we get the steam engine. We're gonna see how the steam engine works. I think you just attach it to a building. Well, what it says is you attach it to a building. It makes the building more productive. Presumably by providing steam. Right. Question I have is, what sort of buildings can you attach it to? And of course, how much steam it takes. Steam is not exactly free. Someone was nice enough to replace the machinery on those locations. That's another thing, right, is we don't need machinery because we don't have enough industry going, but machinery is mostly consumed in your industry. So the bigger your industrial sector gets, the more machinery you go through. No, we could probably use the iron pots in the thing over there. So we'll assign the craft master and engineer. Make some iron pots. We don't really need the iron pots, but we'll make them. We'll turn them on, and then we'll set a pretty low limit to iron pots. Like 30. Yep. Camp is idle. Not super surprised. There we go. So in theory, got a staircase coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down. So that means when we're done with the floor above, we can start on this floor here. I'm actually thinking about it to go back down there. Probably want to make that one wider. That way we can move the miner down there. I might need to actually move the miner to get it to mine that bit, but... Problems for a future we're probably never going to play to. Because again, we're pretty close to where we're going to end. We're going to end after we get the steam engine researched and built. And partially tested. I'm not sure which buildings we can apply it to, so we're going to figure that out. I have no educated pops to work there. Okay. Yeah, smoked fish, mushroom stew. Perfect. This is the woodcutter that was left to harvest the final tree on that island. Basically doing the same there. Trees over here are not going to last for very long, but... If anything, that's just an indication I need to translate from... In the long term, translate from... sending out woodcutters to wood farmers. Right, swap from that to farm, but doesn't eat trees to be farmed. Yeah, we have enough high cuisine at this point that they should be able to get the food quality they want. But you can see people are chowing down on the fish because it's available. Whereas we're reliant on the dining halls to distribute the food the rest of the way around the island, so fish is pretty much everywhere. Fancier stuff is not. Right, I think that's where we're running into with bland food. It's not that we don't have higher quality food, it's that they're not going out of the way to find it. Which is slightly annoying, but... If I was trying to min-max it to make that stat to make that negative go away, I'd be pulling my hair out, but we're making enough approval, I'm just not worried about it. Tax ship has arrived. And you can kind of see with the tax ship here that the taxes are only like all the basic goods. Which means a lot of the industry we have is not applicable to the tax ship. I'm gonna do iron ore because it's got a lot in stockpile. Probably, again, if we were going to go meta progression, go on real far off into the distance, I suspect shipping the gold rather than the iron ore, because the gold is renewable, is the way to go. But I'm going to hoard the gold because it's gold. Apprentice Optimist. Okay, we'll take you. And we'll just take the one. I don't need whiskers that badly. Skill those two. Get a house for a new whisker. The whisker is an apprentice. I suppose that means I should probably get him trained up to be a craft master. It's easy enough to do. Scroll over to our school and assign him craft master. There's the steam engine. We'll queue up something else to research, even though we're probably not going to play the game. Well, we might play the game long enough to research. It depends on how quickly we can get the steam engine built, right? Heat utilities, steam engine. Provide speed or production bonus to adjacent buildings with steam power. Oh, it does look like it can affect multiple buildings at once. It's nice. And it does look like it can affect the kitchens here. On the ground level. So... and then we just need to hook up enough pipes to get that connected to the steam network. Oh, and that's a building that just instantly builds and immediately provides speed. Steam engine providing 100% of production efficiency to 2 field kitchens and a blacksmith. At the cost of steam every 5 seconds. 1 steam every 5 seconds. So that's not too bad. And that didn't require a catalyst or anything, so yeah, it looks like we'll go through the tech tree and finish out the day here. And then we'll probably bring the stream to close, but looks like, as is the case right now, ocean outlet pipe dumps water back into the ocean. Don't know why you would do this. You could do this for some reason. I could imagine this might allow you to keep ponds full of water. Not sure about that. Cannery probably has to... well, I think other people have said on the Reddit that this is associated with the ships component, right? This is associated with the Navy and ships, which is why it's in the game. The moment you don't have Navy and ships, and canned goods are on the same tier as like berries, so you wouldn't do the cannery, other than just to build a cannery. Whisker launcher. This actually is really useful. It's a customizable, basically, ladder, elevator, transitioning thing, right? To help you get up and down. Mostly, I think, up. I'm not using it because I don't want to bother with steam to it. And I like the concept of these winding staircase setups. That just fits with me. This sort of whisker launcher is a bit too fanciful for my my liking. But that's a personal thing. I can totally understand why people do use this. I've seen, what is it? Satisfactory has this sort of thing, right? So games have this. It's not a problem. It doesn't bother me. But that's why we haven't researched it, because we don't need it. Although I can see why people do use it. Same thing with the stone archway. We don't need it, but I can see why people use it. Ocean dump. This is the garbage thing that got added recently, and I think it's recently. I'm not using it because I'm too much of a loot goblin and can't throw my stuff out. Fluid controls. Again, I don't have a reason to want to get rid of my liquid, which would be the main thing you'd use this for. If you were having that sort of problem, you'd want fluid controls. And that might become a problem later in the game. It's not a problem right now. So I could see you researching this, and we probably, if we were on a higher difficulty where we wanted soap to keep people happy and make approval, we totally do this. And we've got all the equipment to do this. We just have to research this and set the chemist going. Rail booster. We set up a short rail line. This is what you need to do verticality on it, I believe. Or just to go faster, because it does get a little bit slow the farther it goes. For the distance that we're using it for, we don't need it. Precision scales is a catalyst for a couple of like the chemistry apothecary building. So if you're doing that stuff, which we really aren't, but if you're doing that stuff, this is a good catalyst. It's 20% more productivity, and it's not a hard recipe. You just got to do this deal. And then steel plates, the massive sheets of steel. I'm assuming this has to do something with boats. There's no usage for it right now, and there's no way to sell this to anyone right now. Right. Yeah, I've generally enjoyed the city building here. Some of the tax trading stuff, I feel like there's things that need an outlet. If you're overproducing it for a way for you to sell the excess. It doesn't necessarily need to be cost effective. The other thing I'm seeing in my experience that is a little fiddly is, and I think the intention here is this is going to be sort of like colonization where you declare independence, right? So you're not supposed to be paying taxes ad infinitum, right? That's maybe where this is going to come from. But the taxman doesn't take anything that isn't a basic good. So once you sort of hit this industrial stage, when you want to be really exporting the industrial stuff, there really, other than the smuggler doesn't come often enough. There really isn't anyone that buys any of the industrial stuff. And even the smuggler is a little picky. He doesn't buy everything, right? That's why I'm not tuning up the iron production, because half the iron stuff he doesn't buy. So we're only running it for plumbing, and I suppose it now for rails. And you do use a lot for rails and a lot for plumbing, so maybe you tune this up and you run a lot more plumbing and run a lot more rails than I do. So I'm not discounting that, right? But yeah, there's a little bit of oddity in the trade. There's definitely things that you would want to export that you can't. Right now, the fields don't respect... look at the last day report. So you can see we've got the city going well enough that even though we've got problems, the big one is inadequate distribution of clothing and the high-quality food. And this is also the high quality clothing, right? So whether I'm not making enough clothing, that might actually be the case with the clothing. This is about a quarter of the town. They complain about threadbare clothing when they're below a quarter of the durability on the clothing. So this might just be, I am not making enough clothing to keep them in the high quality clothing. Right, I'm having to use that last 25% of them just going and getting more. So that might just mean I need to expand clothing by like 33%. That'd be easy enough to do. Food is distribution. Food is I'm making enough, but I'm not distributing it well enough. And that is something I could take my time and pull my hair out about too. But yeah, this is from a approval standpoint. We have succeeded. We have completed what we can do in the game. Sort of same thing with the research. I don't think we're gonna see anything else. But yeah, what another complaint we have about the game here is, as you can see, the fields. The fields don't respect the production limits. So I've overdone tea farms. What this is basically saying is I just pull people from the tea farms, but no one buys the tea leaves, no one buys the pepper, no one buys the wheat, no one buys the flour, although the flour does respect, I forgot to put it on until recently, but flour does respect the production limits. So I've got things murdering the storage capacity on the island that I've got nothing I can do with. Granted, the long-term solution to that is just take the people off the pepper farms and the tea farms and the wheat farms, but then I gotta remember to put them back on, and there's no easy global way to see what's in the production. The capacity you have without coming here to our assistant manager. The fisheries respect it. Right, it's just the farms that don't. I'm not sure why the farms don't. But everything else respects it. So that's the thing I'd probably, if I were to request to have something fixed, that'd be the thing I'd get fixed. So I've enjoyed the run. If you're watching on YouTube, this is where we're going to go ahead and bring the run to a close. If you want to see more, or if you want to see it done differently, feel free to let me know. I will probably play this again when more content comes out. We know that there is, at some point, going to be ships. And there'll probably be other stuff associated with the ships that come out as well. That even if they come out before the ships are, I may be lured back. Or if you just want to see it played differently, right? We played this very surface-oriented, and kind of ignored long paths. If you want to see me try to keep long paths under control from Ready, Set, Go, and that's probably what we need to do if we're going to fight long paths, feel free to let me know. That would definitely be a different way to play. We could also play subterranean, where we try to be going into the mountain and building in the mountain instead of around the mountain. That's something we could do as well. So if that's stuff you want to see, feel free to leave a comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Twitch. This run, at least as it stands right now, I think this is where we're going to go and bring it to a close. I will save it, so if a major update introduces new stuff that I want to show off, I can go ahead and load the save up instead of starting a new one, if it's something I don't think warrants starting a new save to get to, or it's really deep in the game or something. So we'll keep the save. But yeah, we're going to probably close it out here. With that, I should bring the schedule up so I can introduce to people on YouTube and people on Twitch what the upcoming schedule will be. So today was Whiskerwood. Monday is going to be Victoria 3. We're going to end that run of Victoria 3. We've got less than 20 years left, so it'll end. We don't play that slow that it won't end. If it takes 3 or more parts, it'll just be Victoria 3 on Monday. If it takes 2 or fewer parts, we'll swap over to Terra Invicta at the midstream tea break. Tuesday is going to be Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon is going to be a 5-parter instead of the usual 4-parter, because we finished up Humankind a little early. Wednesday will be Songs of Six, the continuation from where we left off. Thursday, I've got on the schedule as Whiskerwood. It will be Subnautica Sub-Zero. I will have to go and install it. I'll have to remember to install that after doing the spring cleaning later tonight. And next Friday will be Terra Invicta. Whether it's a continuation of the game we started on Monday or when we start will be Friday. And then I suppose that makes Saturday Darkest Dungeon. We won't be done Darkest Dungeon in a day, even with a 5-part. I'm not that good at the game that we could speed run the entire game in 5 hours. So that's the upcoming schedule. I hope you've all enjoyed. If you're watching on Twitch and you want comments responded to, now is a good time to leave them. I will leave the... and we'll unpause the game so we get some audio for people watching on Twitch. I will leave the stream up for about a minute after I end the YouTube recording and put a save in the game, just to respond to comments. Otherwise, I hope everyone has been enjoying. I do stream this live. I stream all my stuff usually live to Twitch under the username Willcole, and upload the local recordings to YouTube under the username Willcole100. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you want to catch me streaming live, I try to stream every night. Whether it ends up 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. West Coast time, or ends up getting shifted, in this case it's about 1:20 a.m. in the morning, I do try to stream every night. It just isn't always in the same 4-hour block because, again, that sort of came up early in the stream. I am living with family, and they kind of dictate my schedule while I'm looking for work. So with that, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part and/or stream, and bye for now.